and welcome back to my channel, my nerdy knitting friends. I am so happy to have you here. Today I thought we would be going through 9 different cable patterns that I've found on Ravelry that I am completely, utterly obsessed with, and I decided to do it in a bit of different way. So grab your tea or coffee or anything to drink. I am drinking from my knitting mug that I got from my grandma, and also grab your whip so that you can be knitting while watching this video. Also leave a comment down below. I would love to know what you guys are working on at the moment. And you could also help me choose which cable pattern I should be casting on in the next couple of weeks, because I am really in love with all of these, so I would love your input on which one you think I should cast on. The way I've decided to do this is a bit different, and that is because when I'm watching these types of videos, I always wish that there was some kind of categories to it so that it could help me choose which pattern I should do, or maybe what I should do depending on what I have in my stash. Because sometimes I'm watching videos and I have yarn in my stash and I'm watching them to decide what I should knit. So for that reason, I've decided to categorize these into yarn weights. So we will start at the highest stitch count and working our way down to the lowest stitch count. So that should be fun, I think, and I will leave the stamps and everything I'm talking about down below in the description box so you can find links and names on everything. Furthermore, I've decided to give you guys some sustainable yarn alternatives to what they are using in the pattern, and I will leave all of those down below, but I will tell you which yarn I think you should use for each pattern. And I am bringing my computer with me so that I can take a look at the patterns while I'm talking to you guys. So the first yarn category I have is light fingering plus fingering weight yarn. So in this category, the first pattern I want to take a look at is the Fireflyblouse by Ann-Kathrin Stoll. This has a gauge of 25 stitches and 27 rows, and it is just absolutely stunning. It is a blouse that is knitted seamlessly down and worn with positive ease. It has this wrap look and some bigger flared out sleeves, and I just absolutely adore this pattern. I think it is so feminine, it is so much fun. I love the symmetrical look of the cables, and I just think this will be the most perfect, like, going out or finer occasions blouse, and I'm really itching to cast this on. For this blouse though, I would recommend using Butik Smuksak's Reloved Merino, which is a recycled merino wool yarn. It is about 70% merino wool and the rest is polyamide, I think. I have some in my stash in this cherry red color, and I think it would be perfect for this pattern. It is such a soft and pretty yarn. The yarn she recommends is Garn cashmere lace, which is a way more expensive yarn, but it would look stunning for this pattern though. But yeah, I really like the Reloved Merino from Butik Smuksak, or the Upcycled alpaca wool from Hobbii, but in like the smaller version. So I have tried using the Upcycled alpaca wool big, which is a bigger, like, Aran weight version of this yarn, but it is so soft. It knits up beautifully. I'm currently knitting a sweater for my boyfriend in this yarn, and the cables are turning out stunning, so I can highly recommend this. The color I would choose for this project would definitely be a red. I think hers is a bit too bright and too, like, bluish red for me, so I would choose more of like a cherry Bordeaux color. I think that would look stunning, especially for Christmas. I know we're in January, but I don't know, it just looks stunning. I love the red for this blouse. And yeah, I think it is a very stunning pattern. The second pattern in this category is ma-cherie-bon-bon-sweater-light, which is just an absolutely stunning pattern too. It is made by a Danish knitwear designer called Popknit, and I just liked the look of this so much because for a lot of the cable sweaters I see the cables are going like vertically down, and I think the way she has made it so that they're going horizontally on like the bodice or like the body of the sweater is just so unique and so pretty. And I think this is a very fun and feminine blouse too. The yarn I would use for this would definitely be the Reloved Merino, and I would choose like a pastel color for this, so like a pastel pink, a pastel blue, and a pastel green. I think it would look so stunning, especially because the bonbon chérie vibe gives me like candy vibes, so I think the pastels are so cute, especially because it is a lighter fingering weight gauge. It is very much like a spring pattern blouse to me, so I think those color would look stunning for this. It is knitted sideways from the sleeves toward the center of the body in one piece, and then as an extension of the sleeves, a side panel is made that unites the front and the back pieces. So I think this construction is so unique and so much fun. I've never tried anything like it, so I'm very enticed to trying this pattern just to try out the construction. It only has 6 projects on Ravelry, so there's not a lot to look at. This pattern was released in October 2024, and I just think it looks so stunning that I don't know where there's only 6 projects on Ravelry. So if any of you guys have knitted it or are interested in knitting it, let me know down below, because I really would love to know how this construction is to knit. The second category I've categorized into sport weight and DK weight yarn, and I know I've combined different yarn weights, but it's because for me I can hit gauge with different yarns just using different needles, and I know you guys can do too. But yeah, I've just combined these 2 categories. But the first sweater I want to show you is the knitonomy-pearl-vneck, and this is a stunning v-neck pattern. I love how the cables are symmetrical and very like plain normal cables, but she has added this like pearl dotted structure to the cables that makes it very unique and very feminine and having a very different look. And it is also an all-over cable pattern that is worked top down. She recommends the Cardiff Cashmere Classic, but the yarn that I would recommend to use is one of my favorite yarns of all time, and it is the Hobbii Upcycled Alpaca Silk. It is 75% upcycled alpaca and 25% upcycled mulberry silk, and it is the most stunning yarn ever. I can recommend using this yarn. I think the sweater would look beautiful in the Alpaca Silk 07, which is called Pepper, and this is like a dark grayish color. Or if you're not into the alpaca silk, you could use the Hobbii Upcycled Alpaca Wool Big in the color 09 Silver, which is also like a silvery gray color. I think these would look stunning with the pattern. Magdalena Parker is such a nice designer. I've test knitted for her before, and her patterns are very well knitted. She is so nice, and I adore all of her patterns. She really is the queen of cables, so if you like this pattern, I would highly recommend going to her Ravelry page and seeing all of her other patterns, because they are just as stunning as this one. The second pattern I have in this category is the Cable Base Sweater by Purl Foundry, and it is knitted in Abbey Road the Wind Cries merino wool, and this is such a pretty pattern. It is very feminine, very different from the other ones I've shown in the way that it has different types of cables and lace work all over it, and I think it is a very pretty garment. For me, it has like a very romantic vibe when I'm looking at it, so I would definitely knit this up in like a dusty rose pink color. I think that could be stunning, or maybe like a yellow color as well could also look great for this pattern. The upcycled alpaca silk would be such a stunning yarn to use for this project. It has a color that is called 03 Peony, which is a dusty rosy color that is so cute, and it also has a color I cannot remember. I think it's 01 lemon curd, and it is the most beautiful like marled yellow color. I think would suit this very well. The other yarn I could recommend is the Luna by Permin yarn in the color like light pink. It's called in Danish. I don't know exactly what the translation is in English for this yarn, but that is the most stunning yarn color too, and I think these would all suit this sweater very nicely. I think for a project like this, it is important to choose a yarn that really encapsulates and emphasizes the stitch definition and the cables. So for that reason, choosing a yarn that is woolen or like the alpaca silk, which gives a very nice stitch definition, is very important. It has a dropped shoulder construction and balloon sleeves with a relaxed fit, so I think it is such a fun construction to knit. I love dropped shoulder constructions. And overall, I think this pattern is very cute. The last sweater in the sport weight / DK category is the Leo's Cabled Sweater by Emily Y. Shan. And this sweater is absolutely stunning. I really like how it is very minimalistic cabled with some panels down the front, and then you have the cables on the side of the sweater. And she has made a version where like the sleeves are like very much bell sleeves that are really flaring out, which I love too. I think because of the simplicity of the cables in the sweater, this would look great in every color. I would definitely not think you should knit it in like a beige, white or black color. That is too basic for this. I think you should knit it up in a beautiful color, like using the Upcycled Alpaca Wool Big in Tropical Storm in Blush, or maybe the Alpaca Silk that I have used for my Live top. You should use this color. It is called Dark Red Amaryllis, and it is the most stunning like brownish reddish color that would look great in this project as well. It has quite a lot of pictures on the Ravelry page in like a blue, a pink, a red color, and I honestly adore all of the colors and I really adore this pattern. And this is definitely one of the patterns that I am really contemplating and casting on in the near future, just because I think it is so cute. And it is recommended to knit in the Drops Charisma, and it has 18 projects on Ravelry, so it is not very well known as well. But that is a common parameter throughout this video, is that the patterns are not as well known patterns. I know there are so many great cabled patterns that are very popular, but I also wanted to highlight some of the patterns that are absolutely stunning and intricate and pretty that aren't as popular as some of the other patterns, so that we can highlight and discuss those patterns too. The third and last pattern I have in this category is the From Mayo Heart Chain cardigan. And I know a lot of people have talked about the From Mayo Heart Chain sweater, which is a stunning cabled sweater, but she has come out with a cardigan version and I am so in love with this. This is so cute. It has the heart-shaped cables on it the same way that the Heart Chain sweater has. And the way that it has like a folded neckline and the way the button band is knitted, I don't know, I find it so cute, so very Korean too, but I am completely in love with this. It is like the perfect cable cardigan. I really cannot think of a more perfect cardigan. I think I definitely would choose some different buttons, and I'm not really a big fan of the yellow for this project. I think it would look absolutely stunning in the Upcycled Alpaca Silk in the mauve color that they have, or the peony color that I mentioned before, because it is very romantic, and with the hearts the pink would just look stunning. Also, I think a tweed yarn could look very nice with this in like a gray color too, so if you're into that, Sandnes Garn has their Upcycled or recycled tweed line, which has the most stunning gray tweed color, and I actually have this laying in my stash, so I might have to dedicate that yarn to this project because it just is very stunning and very cute. It doesn't have a lot of projects on that Ravelry. It only has 8 projects, whereas the From Mayo Heart Chain sweater has loads and loads of projects, but I would definitely check it out. And if you're not into the cardigan version, there's always the sweater version, so yeah, just very stunning, very cute pattern. This is also a drop shoulder design that is worked top down, so it really fits into my aesthetic with the drop shoulders. And yeah, I think if I were to knit it, I would definitely crop it a bit because it is too long for my liking, and especially because this gives me kind of like a jacket vibe more than a cardigan vibe, so the cropped version could be so cute. And then maybe changing out the buttons for like the more like rectangular buttons. Does that make sense? They're like elongated wooden buttons. I will put a picture on the screen so that you can see it. but I think that would be so cute with this pattern as well. The next category I have is Aran weight category, and for this I have the Karen sweater by Catherine Hannibal from Unling, and this is such a unique cabled pattern to me. It looks very fun, very modern, very different, so I think either you will probably hate or love this pattern, but I really do love it. They have made it in different versions where some of them has long sleeves and others are short sleeves version, which I really like being able to see both of them. I think it looks so cute in the longer sleeved version, and I really don't get why it only has 2 projects on Ravelry. Some of these sweaters are just absolutely stunning and they have almost no projects on Ravelry. I'm not really the type of person that posts my projects on Ravelry either, but I might start doing it just because I feel like some of these patterns really deserve more hype than they're getting, and this one is one of them. It is a raglan cabled sweater, so it's in nice and easy construction. The raglan on this sweater has like a cable going through it, which I think is a very cute and neat design detail. It is a contemporary and modern touch to the cardigan, and it is very 1940s cabled knitting diamond pattern inspired, the text say here. And yeah, the sweater comes in 2 versions, a large chunky roll neck, short wide sleeves, an hourglass silhouette, and a relaxed fit. And the second version is designed with a high single color, long wide sleeves, and a boxy oversized silhouette. So I really love how there's 2 different versions that you can knit depending on what you like. It is quite size inclusive from SA small to 6 extra large. There's not a lot of the smaller sizes, but I still think this pattern is just cute. I found a yarn that I specifically want for this project, and it is the Hjertegarn New Life, which is also a upcycled recycled yarn in the color 7050, which is like a marled yarn in like this brownish yellowish color with specks of green, red, pink in the yarn. And it just looks absolutely stunning, and for some reason I think this yarn would look amazing with this sweater. So I don't know, if somebody is trying this out, please let me know in the comments because I would love to see it. I also would just love to see this yarn in any project, so if you have ever used it or are planning on using it, please let me know down below. The next yarn category is the bulky weight and super bulky weight yarns. And here I have the Baguette cardigan by Somin Kim. And this cardigan is absolutely stunning. I saw a creator, and I cannot remember who, on YouTube and on Instagram I think, who has started to knit this pattern. And it is just such a stunning cardigan. I really like the cables and that it doesn't have a lot of the honeycomb thing that a lot of the patterns have. It looks like the fit is very nice, very boxy, and very feminine too. It gives me like grandpa but feminine but modern vibes. I don't even know if that makes sense, but there is a sweater version of this too, so if you don't like cardigans, you could go check out the sweater version of it because that is so cute as well. It is knitted top down and it features all over cables, and I think the creator is Korean, so there is not as many sizes as you would like. It is only size 1, 2, 3, and 4, but since it has an oversized fit, I think it can, quite a lot of different sized people can fit into this range, I hope, but I still wanted to showcase it because it is such a cute cardigan. So for this, she recommends using La Mana Premia, La Mana Como Grande, and I don't know these yarns, I've never worked with them and I haven't heard about them before. But the yarn that I would recommend would definitely be Kremke Stoll in pearl or in light gray. I think a gray color for this would be stunning, like a light gray color. Also, if you would like the garment to be a bit more like fluffy and not as defined cabled, I could highly recommend using the Hobbii Upcycled Suri Alpaca. This is the softest ever yarn that I've touched in my life. It is so nice. I've worked with it to knit my jacket that I self-drafted and I absolutely adored this yarn. I can only recommend it enough, and it is just, it comes in so many pretty colors. It is so soft, it knits up beautifully, and it washes and wears beautifully, so I could highly recommend that. It also have the color that is called Salt and Pepper, which is like a grayish color, or like a ground ginger, which is more of a beigey color that I think this cardigan would look great in too. Kremke Soul's Purl is like a beigey ground ginger color too, and I think that will look stunning for this cardigan. Lastly, I want to showcase the Papillon sweater by Le Pole, and this is one of my absolute favorite patterns that are in this video, just because it is very different and I love the chunky look of it. I didn't find a yarn that I think would match this perfectly, but the only one I had in mind that I could recommend is one that I have just used for my winter's pullover by Osetta, and that is the Dusto Alpaca Upcycled Celine. Like, that is a very soft brushed alpaca yarn, but I think it would be so nice for a chunky sweater like this. It has like an all over honeycomb pattern, and it just looks so fun, and like with the texture and the very like big gauge, it is just so fun and so modern, and I think this would knit up so quickly, which I really like too. It is knitted top down, back and forth. In general, I love the Pole's designs. They're very different and very like fashionable and inspiring like this, so I can only recommend it. So that was all of the patterns that I had to show you guys. I absolutely adore every single one of them. I think they are so nicely designed and very pretty and quite different too. You can let me know down below if you liked the way that I've structured this video, if you like me categorizing them into different yarn weights and showcasing different yarn alternatives that are more sustainable than the ones they're using in the pattern. I would really love to know what you think. Also, if you're planning on knitting one of these patterns, let me know down below, or let me know which pattern you think I should cast on. I have quite a lot of yarn that I could use for some different projects of these. So yeah, I would love your help on that. I think that was it for this video. I hope to see you again soon. If you want to follow my knitting more in real time, you can go to my Instagram and TikTok, where I post a lot of videos. Also very much fiber science inspired videos. And then until I see you next time, have fun, happy knitting. Bye!